And that love from coast to coast, planting them seeds so you know we growing, believing in us, damn right we know when. Ain't got time for the stress and pain, no time for hate, no time for games. It's time to take it up, take it up, we gon' take it up. Hey.
Real talk for real life. Real talk for real life. Real talk for real life. Welcome, guys, to Real Talk for Real Life. This is Sherri Ann Flanders Duncan, and I will be your host today. Listen, this is the beginning of 2025, and I'm so excited to be here with you all today. We have a special guest, a dynamic lady here, a powerful lady. Her name is Miss Juanita Lankford, and she's going to be talking to us today about getting our minds right? Getting our minds right.
Yes.
For 2025 and teaching us how we can stay consistent and focus on our fitness journey in the year of 2025 and beyond. But before we get to that beautiful, lovely lady, you guys know I got to tell you, Real Talk for Real Life is being brought to you all by Women of Dynamic Change, a 501c3 nonprofit. And our mission is, in short, to break down those barriers that keep women from being able to reach their full potential, whether it be mentally, whether it be spiritually, whether it be physically. Listen, we are breaking down those barriers, okay? Women, walk in faith. I tell you this every month. Walk in faith and find your greatness. All it takes is a mustard seed of faith. That is it. Cast your cares, your concerns, your problems unto the Lord, and He will work it out every time. Now, one thing I'm going to tell you, He may not come when you want, but He's always on time. Ladies, you are superheroes. And guess what? God gave us unique superhero powers. Once we recognize what they are and how to utilize them, there is nothing we will not be able to accomplish. And more importantly, when you find other superhero women that understand their superhero powers and know how to use their superhero powers, you unite and collaborate. And look, you will be like ex-women, not ex-men, but ex-women, and no one will be able to defeat you. So speaking of collaboration, Miss Juanita Lankford.
Hey.
Hey, listen,
Hello,
guys.
everyone. Hello.
Hey,
So happy
how
to be
are
here.
you?
I'm good.
Good.
Blessed.
I'm
Yes.
so thankful to have you here on Real Talk for Real Live. Why
Thank you
don't
for
you
having me.
No, it is my pleasure. It is our pleasure to have you here on this platform because I know you are going to be dropping some jewels today. So, why don't you let the world know about who you are, where you're from, and all the amazing things that you are doing, Miss Juanita Lankford.
Yes. Well, hello, and thank you again for having me. So, my name is Juanita Lankford. I do currently work at one of my near colleges as one of the student success coaches. But in addition to that, I love to promote, support, and educate women and even some guys, but I mainly work with women on their health, fitness, and mindset. I like to think of myself as like your accountability coach. Accountability is like my thing, but mainly just being able to show you all that you can achieve your goals in achievable, like bite-sized pieces. Like it doesn't have to be, my whole thing is like it doesn't have to be complicated. And that's one of the things that I stress and hopefully will be your biggest takeaway today.
I love that. I love that. And so a lot of times I think we make things a lot bigger than what they really are. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of this conversation, I just have to let everybody know how I met Miss Juanita Langford.
Yeah.
It was back in October, yes, and she was a panelist on the Nia J Cosmetics Beauty and Wellness Expo. And when I heard her speak, it was magnetic. The power, I could feel the coach come out of her. And I was like, you know what? I got to have her on Real Talk for Real Life. And that's why I say it's so important to speak exactly what you want. And here we are. It's happening. Thank you so much again. So let's go ahead and talk about it. You know, it's the new year, right? It's
Mm.
2025. Everybody has started with the New Year's resolutions.
Yes.
They've started with the vision boards if they haven't
Yes.
already done them. And they've come up with their goals. And many of times, and most of the times, fitness, health, and wellness is on that vision board. It's a part of their goals. It's a part of what they want for the new year. So, Miss Juanita Langford, what are some of the barriers that you think keep us from staying consistent throughout the whole entire year and making fitness a part of our lifelong journey?
Thank you so much for asking. So, one of the biggest barriers that I see, and it's true, like it's January, we know like one of the biggest like goals is like to get better with your health or start exercising. But as we know, life happens. And this is often, especially when I'm talking to clients or just talking with people in general, what happens is we start the year off with the mentality of working on ourselves, right? We want that. And then what happens is a few things could happen. One of the biggest things that I realized that happens is life happens. So you have the intention of, let's use exercising, for example. You start January 1st, you're in the gym, all is well, right? You're like, okay, I got that momentum. Come February, life happens. Even my situation, I've had one of my dogs have passed away, or maybe something's happening on your job, or maybe, anything. When I say life happens, that could be a huge umbrella for anything. And a lot of times when life happens, that's when people stop. And I get it. And it's valuable. Like there's value there. We understand like life happens, but you have to always keep in mind that it's a reason why you set that goal in the beginning of the year. And regardless if life happens, because life is going to happen, you could start again. And I think that's the biggest barrier. We'll start, we stop because life happens, or maybe we lose motivation or we use momentum. Anything can happen in between that. And then we just don't want to start again. And before you know it, the whole year goes by. The goal that you set in January slowly starts falling back to the waist. No, it's no longer your priority. And then we're back again in the beginning of the year. But there are ways where you can be consistent. And I'm here to tell you, you can be consistent. So don't tell yourself that lie. That's first and foremost. But that is one of the biggest barriers. Just the starting again, accepting that life happens, and everything in between there and those barriers.
And that plays a role, the mindset piece. It really plays a role because you're right. Life is going to happen, things are going to occur. And we have to understand how to be resilient and how to bob and weave,
Yes,
when life comes at us. But we have to understand that the fitness part, the health part, the wellness part, right, is an investment into ourselves. And
it
we
is.
have to invest in ourselves and somehow just change and shift that mindset to understand that we got to stay consistent throughout the year, no matter what, if we want to see the results that we're looking for. And I think you can agree to this, it'll pay off in the end.
Absolutely. And one thing I do want to plug in is that, like, it has to be a priority too, especially as women. We do so much. So some of us are, well, full-time moms, we're wives, some of us are business owners, we work a full-time job. Then we have family to take care of. And it's a lot to juggle, which is understandable, but it has to be a priority. One thing that I do want to stress too is you have to understand and figure out your why. And I know I feel like we say this a lot, like your why, what is that? How do I get that? Just really think about in the beginning of the year when you set that health and fitness goal, there's a reason. There's a reason why you said that. And you have to really dig deep and use that reason and remind yourself constantly as to why you want to work on your health and fitness.
I love that. I love that. You are absolutely right. The why. Why are you doing it?
Why?
Is it for yourself? And it mainly should be for yourself. And it should be for your kids, your family. I know for me, that is one of the reasons why I've gone into 2025 saying, look, I got to stay committed. I got to get on this fitness journey. And I got to stay committed this year. Last year, I fell off, I fell back on, I fell off, I fell back on. But you're right, saying why. Why are you doing this? Understanding that you got to put yourself first and that it is going to pay off at the end of the day. So thank you for that. That I love it. Thank you so much, Juanita. Now, one of the things that I have had issues with is going to the gym, right?
Mhm.
We go to the gym, we see all these beautiful women, we see all these handsome men working out the muscles. They look like they know what they're doing, and we compare ourselves to them. We're going in the gym, we don't know what we're doing, we feel insecure about ourselves. So what are some of the things that we can do to stop that
Mm,
comparison? And not to
mm,
even add, social media doesn't even help
mm.
it at all because it makes us feel even worse about ourselves. So how can we stop comparing ourselves to other people's fitness journey and focus more on ours?
Yes, completely understandable. And one thing that I do want to make note is we all compare. Let's not sugarcoat it. Let's not pretend like we all don't do it. We do it. We compare ourselves. I feel like maybe it's in our DNA. There's probably some type of like deep, deep understanding as to why we do, but we do. We compare ourselves. And I think the first and foremost thing that you have to be aware of is the fact that you're doing it. Once you can identify that you're comparing yourself, then you could start working on that. Because clearly we know that comparing, that's not going to help anything. As a matter of fact, comparing yourself to someone else is probably also one of the reasons why you haven't started working out, right? Like there's levels to that. So, first and foremost, realize if you are comparing yourself, like be real with yourself. Like, okay, I am comparing. I want that body. I want that. I want what someone. And one thing that I'm going to tell you guys, and I just completely want to stress, is we have to understand that our bodies are our own. Our bodies are not made to look like someone else's. Like you have to really sit with that because at some point you become an understanding that like, okay, this is my body. When you start embracing that, that comparison kind of goes away. And I'm going to tell you right now, it takes time because we do it often. We compare ourselves. And social media does play a huge part. I I use social media all the time and I see it like it happens. But here's what I'm gonna say. If you find yourself comparing yourself to someone else, there's a few things you can do. Limit your time on social media. If you're comparing yourself to someone and pay attention to how your body's reacting, if it's giving you anxiety, you're now all of a sudden you're depressed because you're not looking like the person that you're seeing on the other screen. Once you're aware of that, you have to scale it back because in order for you to stop comparing yourself, you have to put in the work within yourself to first realize that that's what you're doing and then realize that you have to scale it back. Spending time with yourself is so important. So important. I mean, and we're women here, right? I'm talking about spending time looking at yourself in the mirror and embracing the woman that is on the other side. So instead of scrolling social media and comparing yourself to that other person, you need to be spending time with yourself. That inner work, that's what's going to make the difference. And you're going to start slowly seeing that instead of you comparing yourself, because I'm listen, this is what I was doing. Instead of you comparing yourself, now you're gonna be like, okay, I see that woman right there. She put in the work because it's hard. Okay, yeah, she got some thick thighs. They look nice on her. You start your mindset changes, and instead of coming from more of a comparison outlook, you're now celebrating somebody else for their hard work because you know you put in the hard work yourself.
Wow, that is amazing. I love the way that you worded that and put that all together, Juanita. And it is so true. Look, they say comparison is the
Mm.
thief
Mhm.
of joy.
Mhm.
President Roosevelt said it. And we have to understand, like you said, God has given us our unique bodies. It's
Yes.
unique to us and it's our own, and we have to know how to operate it, right? So, the body that God gave you or the body that gave someone else is not going to be the body that, I have. And so, I can't expect to look like you or someone else. And so, we have to sit still with ourselves. Like you said, I love that, sitting still with yourself. And many people have a hard time with doing that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I had a hard
Many
time.
people.
I had a
Yeah.
hard time. Straight up, I had a hard time. I remember that there were so many people that would tell me like, "You're beautiful, you're so pretty, I love your smile." People could say that to me till they were blue in the face, and it would go right over my head because I didn't
Mhm.
believe it, but I had to literally do my own inner work and realize that like, my gosh, I'm beautiful. My dark skin is beautiful. My little curves that I have, they're beautiful. But it took so much time to build on that. And I do want to encourage women, like it's gonna take time. That you don't just wake up, especially if you're trying to work on yourself, you don't just wake up one day and then all of a sudden it's gonna be like, no, this is an ongoing practice. Ongoing practice.
Yes, the mental piece, that mental piece, like you said, you really got to dig deep and look within because really, once you realize the gift that you have and who you are and accept yourself and understand your own personal beauty, because I always say the inner beauty is more important than the outer beauty because it's going to fade at some point, right?
Mm,
So we work on ourselves internally and build that beauty inside, it's going to shine.
gosh,
Man,
yes.
it's going to shine on the outside, and people will see that light, and you will see the light more importantly. And you'll know never to compare yourself to anyone else because you bring something very special, very unique to whatever table you sit at. So, thank you so much, Juanita, for sharing that with us. So, as we continue to talk about our fitness goals, I've been doing a little bit of visualization, right? Thinking about how I want to look, visualizing it, where I want to be, how healthy I want to be, right? I'm getting
Mm,
older now. And so
mm.
health is really a big, important part of my fitness journey for me. What are some of the other ways you think that we can, or tools that we can use to stay on that fitness path, such as maybe goal setting?
Goal setting is so huge. And I feel like, especially when I'm having these conversations and I'm talking to women, when they hear goal settings, their brain already is shut off. They're like, goals? No. No, no, no. But I try to remind them and tell them that like if you don't have a goal, then what are you working towards? You have to work towards something. Because if not, then you're gonna kind of be like, you're gonna be all over the place. Goal setting, it doesn't have to be complicated. And it doesn't have to be like one thing that I love to encourage, and this is why the women that I work with, they get there. They get there because what's important is making sure that you're setting your goals to where you're actually able to achieve them. At the end of the day, you can achieve your goals. Sometimes we make goals and they're unrealistic, right? So, like, for example, let's say, I'm just going to throw this as an example. Let's say that you're someone and you want to lose 50 pounds in a week. You're not going to lose 50 pounds in a week. That's unrealistic, right? And especially if you're trying to do it healthy, that's unrealistic. You have to make realistic goals. And sometimes what I'm also finding is maybe some people might not know what that is. That's why it's important to either connect with someone like myself who can kind of go through that with you, or a friend, or someone who's also has went through the health and fitness journey and has been successful, that they know
Mm.
how to actually, because you could ask some people, oh, give me your opinion, but they've never done it. So it's important to like get that, the ask for that help. Like, what is something that I can do, or how did you achieve your goal? And then kind of break it down. It doesn't have to be complicated or hard. I have one thing with some of my ladies that I work with, and they're just doing like focus on those 2 pounds at a time. You could lose 2 pounds
Yes.
at a time. That's achievable. And that's what's gonna help give you that momentum. Listen, we're a creature of like reward. We want to know that if we're working towards something, that we're getting there. That's where that momentum comes up. But you have to be realistic with yourself. Don't let goals and goal setting and visioning where you want to be. Don't let that scare you. It doesn't have to be scary. You can break it down to where it's not intimidating and you can actually achieve it.
Wow. Yeah, I like that. And listen, I'm just gonna bring this out. This helps me because everybody, everyone is different. But I started with my planner, with my fitness
That's
planner,
awesome.
right? And I'm writing down every day what I do and how much I weigh and the goals that I'm setting for each week. So I'm putting it on paper because like I said at the beginning, sometimes what happens is we don't see the results fast
Mm,
enough because we're not patient enough, right? And we stop. But if we see it on paper, right, it lets us know that, look, we're actually accomplishing those goals, right? We're seeing that we're losing the inches, right? We're seeing our bodies change through paper. And so that's why I was like, you know what, this year I'm going to get me a fitness journal so that I don't stop, because at least if I see it on paper that it's actually working, me working out and staying committed, and before you know it, I'll be to where I want to be. And so I like what you said about those achievable goals, because many people do listen. They say they want to lose 50 pounds, and come on, Juanita, come on.
Gotta be, it has to be realistic. And one thing I do want to
Right.
add, tracking is extremely important.
Okay.
Tracking is extremely important because it's the only way for you to monitor to see if the workouts that you're doing is the right fit for you, if the food that you're
Okay.
eating is the right fit for you. So don't be afraid of tracking. Another way to add to your journal, another way that I like to encourage people to do is to take pictures. You do not have to post your pictures on social media. You do not
Mm.
have to show
Oh,
anyone
well,
your pictures. But pictures are such a great way because so many people are so surprised when they take that first picture of day one, or let's say in January, whenever you want to start your journey, and you take another picture 6 months later, mind blown. So,
mm,
in addition to writing or tracking, or even if you're doing an app for tracking, definitely take those pictures.
okay.
Use those pictures as progress because you would be surprised. If I've shown you some of my previous pictures of me, you would be so shocked. But I love those pictures because it reminds me where I started from. You know
Mm.
what I mean? And that's why I say it's important. Like, you don't have to show anybody those pictures. You don't have to. If you want to for accountability or, that's cool, but don't be afraid of taking pictures as well for tracking.
Okay, I love that. So let me get my camera out after today's show and snap away so I can have the actual pictures before and after, so I can see that it's actually working maybe a month or 2 months from now. I like that. Listen, you talk about accountability. Listen, I have gotten, and then you have to let the world know about your WhatsApp chat group, Move with Purpose.
Yes.
Move with Purpose. And I joined. And I'm going to tell you, Juanita, that when I do not go on and log on the days that I do not exercise, I actually feel so guilty.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's the emotion that I'm supposed to feel, but I feel
Mm-hmm.
guilty because I feel as though I need to get in. I need to do my workout. I need to make sure, I'm holding myself accountable to what I said I'm going to do. So, how important is having that support group or environment?
Oh my goodness, it's extremely important. Just a quick plug in, as Sherry mentioned, yes, you guys, I do have a free WhatsApp. It's free, a free WhatsApp check-in group where anyone can get in. I have women in there that are doing training for marathons. I have people who are just starting. I have people in there who are doing gym work, at-home workouts, Zumba, you name it. They're in there doing it. That's why the focus is called Move with Purpose. You're moving with a purpose. Accountability is so important. Let's be real. We can tell ourselves we're going to do something, and ourself will come up with 101 excuses. And these excuses legit will sound like legit excuses, right? That's just how we are. Sometimes you need a little extra something, a little extra someone to hold you accountable as well, because we will talk ourselves out of everything if we can. And that's one thing for me. When I started my own journey, I was doing everything by myself. And it's so funny. A lot of people don't believe it, but I am an introvert. And, just doing things by myself, it wasn't working. It wasn't working. I was not being consistent at all. I mean, you can see me now and I'm extremely consistent now, but in the beginning I wasn't that way because I was telling myself excuses just like we all do. And I remember when I first started, I would post literally on Facebook. I would find different Pinterest workouts and I would post them on Facebook and I would be like, who wants to do this with me? Who wants to, like, let's be accountable and who wants to do this with me? And it was so funny how it all started. And
Mhm.
from there, that's when I realized how important having that accountability is. Because on days when you do not feel like working
Mm.
out, just like what you mentioned, Sherry, I mean, there are times where like you guys are like dropping it, you're dropping, like, oh, I did this, I did this. And then there are times where like I'm looking at it and I'm like looking in the morning, I'm like, I don't feel like working out. You guys, this is like natural human feelings. We're not gonna feel like exercising every day. We don't feel like going to work every day. There's a lot of things we don't feel like doing. But at least there is space in health and fitness where you can have that type of accountability of people who are also working on themselves. I think that's what's really huge. What's
Yes.
really huge is making sure that you're finding that community or that accountability partner that's also working on themselves. Because if you try to have someone who not even they haven't even started anything and you're like, "Oh, I need you to hold me accountable." How can you ask them to hold you accountable if they haven't budged it? So, getting into a community where you know that there are people that are also working on themselves is really extremely helpful because not everyone's going to understand why you're doing it. I mean, I've had people tell me, "Oh, you're already slim. You don't need to work out." Excuse me, yes, I do. This is
Mhm.
I'm not just working out just for a time being. Like this is a lifestyle.
That leads me to ask you about the misconceptions.
Yeah. Oh man, there's
That
so
is
many.
such a misconception that just because you're
Mhm.
small, you
Mhm.
don't need
You
to
don't need
work
to
out.
work out. Yeah. Yeah.
So, what are some other misconceptions that people have when it comes to working out?
Yeah, a huge one. Well, one of them I'm going to tell you. I've heard people tell me all the time, well, I can't go to the gym, so I'm not going to work out. You can work out anywhere. Don't let that excuse even get into your head. And I'm one to tell you because I do at-home workouts. And let me tell you, growing up, I was the coach's daughter. Like I ran track and cross country. Like my dad was the coach. It's so funny because even to this day, for my high school, I still hold the cross country record, which is crazy
Wow.
for the girls.
Wow.
Crazy. That just goes to show you how hard I trained. You do not have to go to the gym only and exercise. I know the gym is so popular. It's so popular. And it's so nice to say, I went to the gym. And I encourage that for you. Listen, the gym is my playground, but I'm not in there 24/7. I'm not in there. And I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions. It's like what's popular, that's what you need to be doing. And that is not
Mm.
true. That is not
I,
true. There are so many ways of moving your body. And this is something that I love to like bring to people's attention because for whatever reason we forget. We think that the gym is the only place where we need to be, and that's not true. You can go swimming, you can go dancing, you can go hiking, you can go bike riding. You can work out from home, you can work out outside, you can do it at the park. You can like there's so many means of moving your body. You don't have to just stick to one way. Like be open. Be open to also exploring what you enjoy doing. Working out is already hard enough. And it's supposed to be a little challenging. Like you're supposed to get your heart rate up. You're supposed to sweat a little. It's supposed to feel sore. Like those things are supposed to happen, but you can also enjoy what you're doing.
I like that. Listen, I got listen because I have a little one at home, and so I got me a cycling machine.
Mm,
And so I love cardio. I love to work out, and cardio is my thing. And so I get on my bike, and you'll see me post pictures of how many miles I've done or the calories that I've burned. So that just goes to show you're right. You don't necessarily have to go to the gym because a lot of times, for a lot of moms, single moms, they don't have the ability to, go to the gym. And so I've found alternate ways where I can still move with purpose, get that movement in, get that exercise in, be working towards that fitness and health goals just simply with the bicycle. And I have it right in my living room. So I can look outside at the backyard. So I have a scenery and all, and I am good to go. And that's how I get a lot of my exercise in through the week. So we don't need to make excuses.
mm,
There's always some type of way to move with purpose, right?
yes.
So, Juanita, can you share any stories of any of the women that you may have coached or been around that may have had that shift in their mindset where at the beginning they were just totally, totally against working out. But
Mhm.
then once they started to work out, that mindset changed. Have you had any clients that you can
Oh my
speak
goodness.
on
There's so
that you
many.
saw that? Oh, really?
Yes, there are so many. There's so many. There's so many. And without like
Wow.
giving away too much
Right,
information, or I'm
right.
very big on like privacy. One thing that I can say is there has to be a point where you say enough is enough, because I can only coach you so far. A personal trainer can only ask you for so long. Nobody can jump into your body and do the workouts for you. You have to want that. And I see a difference between the people, the women that I start with and life happens and unfortunately they stop. And then I see the difference in the women that they start, life happens, and they continue. You have to be okay with starting again. You have to be okay with the fact that life is going to happen, and you have to be okay with plugging in. You don't have to do this alone. I mean, I've had so many women have completely changed their life. I mean, I've spoken to women who have gotten divorces and have lost like their husbands and have lost their jobs, and they're just starting over. I'm talking about like traumatic things. These women, they're not even in the mindset of comparing their body to someone else. Like you're not thinking about that when like this type of life stuff happens, right? And when I'm speaking to these women, one thing that we're just focusing on is just using that movement to release energy. Like using that movement as a stress reliever, a space where you know that you're doing something physical for yourself, regardless of whatever else is going on. And that has been the game changer with the women that I see that are sticking to it, and the ones that are just doing it because they want to look like someone else, or the ones that are doing it just because for X, Y, and Z reason. That why for them isn't as strong as the woman whose why is like, okay, yeah, I'm doing this because like I'm going through a really, really hard time and I really need to work on myself. I really need to be around someone who is going to continue to like let me know that it is okay to exercise. It is okay to work on myself. It's okay to like carve that time out. Like that is the difference that I see. So success stories, there's a ton, a million and a gazillion of them. I mean, I have collaborated with other coaches who have also worked with women. And I mean, the stories are just, you'd be surprised how things fall in place when you start working on yourself. Like, I'm talking, I've seen women who have recovered from like different drug addictions, and women who are have gotten out of depression, women who all of a sudden, because of exercising and like being around a supportive like group that's also working on themselves, they all of a sudden like they feel like they have a purpose now. Like it's so much more than just like the physical, okay, you know, the abs and the physical. Like there is something huge and way deeper when you're doing these movements and working on your health that is just unimaginable what can happen to your life.
I am a testament of that. I have gone through some things in my life. And to hear you share that there's been many success stories through those trials and tribulations is just that much more encouragement for me to continue my journey. And I hope whatever woman or ladies or even gentlemen that are listening get that life
Absolutely.
will life, but we have to stay consistent when we set these goals because again, we are investing in ourselves.
Yes, absolutely. And if I can share a quick story, Sherry, I mean, I'm speaking firsthand from my own experience. I remember one of the biggest, most traumatic things that I have experienced in my life was when my husband got into a motorcycle accident. It was very out of the blue, and when I tell you it was bad, like he almost lost his leg. We were pretty much living like he was living in the hospital. He has had probably over like 10 surgeries. I mean, it was horrible, horrible. And at the time, I was the only one working. So I would still go to work. And at the time, I was a kindergarten teacher. So I would walk into my classroom and literally have to like put a happy face on because my students don't know what's going on with me. and it was so hard. You guys, like I'm telling you, I use movement as my thing that was keeping me sane for most of those days. At that time, I was praise dancing. I would do worship dance for my church. And I just remember, even in the hospital room, I was practicing my moves there. Like I was dancing and moving. It was just a space where I didn't have to think about what was going on around, but I was able to just do this for me. And just dancing around that hospital room and just being able to focus on that type of movement, that was my movement for the majority of the time while he was in the hospital, while he was recovering. That was my movement. I was not in no gym. Nobody was thinking about that. I was barely like getting out of bed and having to work, but I needed that type of movement to help me be sane. So it can be so much more than just the weight loss, the surface stuff. Like you can use movement for so much more.
Definitely. And I believe that's where I am right now, understanding that this is more than just me looking good. It's more about the mental training my mind to be strong for my children, for myself, to be able to face the world because you have to be strong, and exercise and movement does just that for you. So, you know what, Miss Juanita Langford? This has been amazing. You have really dropped some jewels and some nuggets, and I hope that the audience picks them up and understands, yeah, that moving with purpose is more than just about the physical, but it's also about the mental and understanding that you have to work on you constantly, right?
Absolutely.
Constantly work on you. So, what would you like the audience, the biggest lesson or the biggest gift that you would like to give to the audience before we close out today?
Oh my gosh, listen, if this was like my dream world, I would be seeing everybody exercising and moving their bodies. Like I literally get so excited when I see someone exercising in the way that they enjoy. Like it is the biggest, it gives me so much excitement. But I know that this is a topic that a lot of people are struggling with, and that's I think what hurts me the most. So, if there's not anything that you take away from today, like just know that there is support. Even if you feel like you're the only one in your household that wants to exercise, like that's okay. Maybe the rest of the household will catch on, maybe they won't. It's okay. Listen, I have been the only one in my household for right now that's exercising aside from my son, but everyone's watching and they see the change in me. They see the change in our environment just because I'm able to work on myself. So like the biggest thing, explore, find out what type of movement like gets you excited. Find something that's a little challenging. It's supposed to be a little challenging. That's not a problem. But just know that you can do it. If you are able to get up and walk around. Like that is a blessing. I've seen people who are in wheelchairs and are still exercising and moving their bodies. So it is something that is so important. If there's any takeaway, just know that you can do it and that there is support. You don't have to do it alone.
Miss Juanita Langford, please just let us know, how can we find you? How can we
Yes.
find you?
Yes, you guys can find me on Instagram. My name is Juanita Lankford. That's JuanitaLankford. You can also find me on Facebook, Juanita Mayers Lankford. Just reach out, shoot me a DM, comment on any of my pictures, and I'm super interactive. Like, reach out, message me, and you'll get a reply back. And we'll continue to stay connected that way.
I love it. And we don't forget to mention about your monthly walk with purpose
Yes, so much going
event.
on.
Yes.
Yes, you guys, please, if you are local, Broward County area, even if you're in Miami-Dade and you want to travel down to Broward County or anywhere in between, like once a month, I definitely want to start doing an event to where just we can kind of get out, connect, walk, continue to stay motivated and educate about how important it is to move your body. My goal is to at least do one once a month at different parks. So I would love to see you guys out there. It's a great way to be around the trees, be around like nice fresh air and be around nice great people. Super fun, free way to connect. So definitely look out, follow my social media as well as Dynamic Women's social media page. I'm sure she'll continue to share different events like that happening. But just know that there's support and there's resources out there. You do not have to do it alone.
Nope, you do not have to do it alone. And so, Miss Juanita Lankford, I want to thank you for creating the space, right? Creating the space for women to just know that there's help out there. Stay consistent. There's someone out there that will help you stay accountable for your fitness and wellness goals. I am so honored to have had you here on Real Talk for Real Life. Listen, this is January 2025, and we are just getting started on Real Talk for Real Life. Miss Juanita Langford kicked it off talking about mindset shift, and let's get fit and let's get healthy, more importantly. Let's get healthy mentally, spiritually, and physically, because all this is going to help us be able to live and be the best women that we can be so that we can give back to those around us, like our children, our spouses, significant others, and everyone else out there who depends on us. Right. So thank you so much, Miss Juanita Langford. So appreciate you all. Listen, I want to wish you all a happy new year because I'm not sure if I told you that, but I'm telling you now, have a happy new year. Real Talk for Real Life, Women of Dynamic Change, and myself are wishing you a year filled with good health, wealth, prosperity, and all that your heart desires. And ikigai. If you guys don't know what that means, that is finding your purpose, understanding your reason for living. If it's God's will, you'll see me again on Real Talk for Real Life next month. And don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel and to follow us on Instagram, Real Talk for Real Life. All right, Miss Juanita, it's been a pleasure. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, audience, for being with us today. Have a great day. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye
Bye.
bye.